Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. So tomorrow I have to remove my feeding tube. I am kind of happy but also very annoyed because my doctor knows that I'm going to struggle without it. He knows that I have a gastric emptying time that is over 4 hours, and he knows that I get a lot of pain and nausea from eating anything, and I'm not physically managing to consume anything orally other than a bit of water or a little bit of baby food in order to take medication with, but even that makes me feel sick and causes pain. So a little bit of a backstory. You guys already know that I have had history with my gastric doctor, because obviously I'm not classed as the normal typical gastroparesis patient because I have weight to lose, but that doesn't mean that I'm not struggling. In order to get my feeding tube, obviously I had to have a gastric emptying study. I also had barium swallow tests done. I had manometry studies done. I had a lot of testing done to see whether my feeding tube was even needed. And I tried all the prokinetics and all the antiemetic drugs that I could, including diet changes, forticips, anything really, including baby food, that I've tried just to try and help my stomach to kind of start working again, and unfortunately none of them have helped. I even tried a medication for mast cell activation disorder, even though I don't have that condition, or at least I don't think I have that condition, and it didn't really help me either. So my gastric doctor basically has exhausted everything he could possibly think of in order for me to get my stomach to work. However, he wants to try a homeopathic method for a completely separate condition to gastroparesis. He wants me to trial IBS hypnotherapy, which I think even my dietitian is kind of like, this is not going to work. But in order to see how I can actually manage and see if anything has changed since I've had my tube, or see whether anything has worsened and stuff like that, his idea is to remove my feeding tube because I have had it in place now for gone on plus 5 months, and so coming up to 6 months actually, so I've had it in for about 5.5 months. And ideally these tubes usually get changed every 6 to 8 weeks, but due to COVID restrictions and everything, I've managed to keep mine in for 5.5 months. It has blocked quite a few times and I've been to hospital twice with it blocking, but I've kind of found a way around that at the moment to stop it. I mainly get all of my hydration, in fact I do get all of my hydration via my tube, because I can't physically drink anything without feeling sick or bringing it back, and I physically can't eat without feeling completely nauseous or getting in severe pain. So it is going to be trial and error, and it is going to be very challenging to manage without my NJ tube, but obviously the last thing myself and my doctors want is for me to have major surgery in order to place a more permanent tube. But in order to see whether that is actually needed or not, I'm going to end up having to have this tube removed to see whether anything has changed. I don't agree with my doctor's idea of a homeopathic remedy for IBS working for gastroparesis, and for those of us that have gastroparesis, we know damn well that there is no cure for gastroparesis. It basically consists of antiemetic, prokinetic and dietary changes, and I have tried all of them, and unfortunately nothing has helped and nothing has worked. If anything, my symptoms have actually worsened over the last few months, especially with trialing food even with my tube fitted. So we'll just have to see how things go. Even my dietitian, when I said about, because originally the plan was that I was to keep my tube in place, and then I was to have it still there to use if necessary. However, in order to keep an NJ tube placed, you still have to flush it, and he wants to see how I manage orally with food and drink. And obviously if I'm still getting my hydration through my tube, then it's not going to be beneficial to keep an eye on kidney functions and stuff like that, and it won't show any decline if there is any to be made. So the decision was made to actually fully remove my tube, because it is old anyway. Like I said, it has been in for 5.5 months, and when I explained that I had a delivery due for my feed and all my giving sets and everything else due technically today, it was supposed to have come today, and my order had to go in by the 2nd of October. When I went to my appointment on the 20th of September when this was arranged, I just made the decision just not to put my order in on the 2nd of October and asked should I cancel that order. And my dietitian's words were, well, we won't cancel any future orders, we'll just put them on hold. And I think the reason she said that was because she knows that I'm gonna need to have my tube replaced at some point, because she knows that I'm struggling as it is already. I've had my tube in for 5.5 months, and if anybody knows anything about gastroparesis and working with dietitians, they have like it almost looks like a measuring tape type thing, but it's kind of a scale that you kind of hold in your hand and you have to squeeze it, so they show how much muscle you have, and it gauges how much strength you have in your body, especially in your arms. And when you're put on a particular feed, like I'm on Protein Plus, when you put on that type of feed, the idea is that your muscle strength increases. So they keep an eye on that muscle strength throughout various stages. And I had mine done 5 months ago, and it was roughly around 21.6, I think it was. And when I went in on the 20th of September, it was 22.9. So I'd actually increased a little bit, and that was actually good. It means that the Protein Plus was working. It means that my feeding tube was being helpful towards everything that I was doing, and it has actually been very helpful in stabilizing a lot of my other health conditions, because it's given me the adequate hydration and the adequate nutrition that I've needed. You can still see some bald patches here in my head, but they're a lot less prominent than what they were prior to having my feeding tube fitted. So that's going to be heartbreaking that some of these conditions that I've been struggling with for many years are probably going to end up struggling again. So things like my heart condition is going to flare up. I might end up with my UTIs being more prominent again, and I may end up with retention by the time they start giving me adequate fluids again, like they did in January. And in January I was managing at least half a cup of tea a day, and I can't even manage 2 mouthfuls now without pain and nausea. So we'll just have to see how I get on. I am very annoyed about this. My family's annoyed about this. It has given me a lot of energy, so I've been able to go out and do some hydrotherapy exercises in our local pool, and I'm now not been able to go for the last few weeks due to cervicogenic headaches, because I decided to kind of cause myself to have what's known as burnout, because I over exceeded what I was able to capably do one day, and I decided to do some extra activity by doing some swimming, and I ended up causing a lot of cervicogenic headaches, which have gone on for over 2 weeks now. Luckily they have now calmed down slightly, but not as much as I would like, so I've not been able to go back and do that. But obviously now tomorrow my tube is to be removed. I have to remove it myself. I'm hoping I'm not going to have a problem with that, because we do know that my tube is coiled in my bowel, so hopefully I won't have too much of an issue with that. But I will keep you guys posted on what's going to go on with it, and how I manage. But yeah, my tube is to be removed tomorrow, and I will be having, obviously I've been weighed on what's known as a composition scale. So basically it's a scale that basically does a composition weight of every part of your body. So it tells you how much skin you have, how much fat's in your body, how much protein, how much muscle, and so forth. And I will be weighed on this composition scale once every month, and I have to have blood tests once every month to keep an eye on my kidney function without my tube. And my first blood test will be done at the end of this month. So in 2 weeks after tomorrow, I have to go and get my bloods taken to see how it's affecting my kidneys, should I manage to stay out of hospital long enough for that. But I am a little bit worried, and I am a little bit apprehensive, and it's mentally taken a massive toll on me, because like I said, this tube has helped me so much with a lot of things in my life, especially with my heart health, my bladder health, my kidney health. Just my overall well-being has actually been a lot better with the tube, and being fed via that. Even everything, like my hairs have been growing back, everything is just so totally changed, and I just feel like I've had some part of my life given back to me, because prior to this, for 2 years, I was really struggling, in particular with everything that was going wrong with my body, and I had little to no energy. I've spent 2 years inside, not just because of COVID, but because of mental health and anxieties and other things, but mainly because it was my heart that was causing a lot of them issues, and because my kidneys were causing a lot of UTIs. And now that I've been having the adequate nutrition and hydration, my heart has calmed down an awful lot. My orthostatic intolerance has calmed down. I've not been getting as dizzy and falling over as much as I was, and everything just seems to have stabilized. And I just feel a bit hurt and upset that my doctor has decided that the best way forward, rather than to give me the permanent tube, which is what his second opinion EDS GI specialist had requested, by giving me a more permanent tube should this have been helpful to me. His decision is now to remove my tube completely, and give me IBS hypnotherapy, which is for a completely different condition, a condition I do have, but a condition that I have that has been stable for many years and that I don't actually need any help with. So we'll just have to see. He has actually referred me over to the surgeons that actually do the more permanent tubes as well, because he wants me to feel like I have options. But at the moment, he's not backing up that I actually need one, because he wants to see how I manage without. As you can imagine, this has took a massive mental toll on me, because now I feel like my life is just going to start deteriorating again. I'm not going to have the energy. My heart's going to start flaring up again. My kidneys are going to start causing problems. My orthostatic intolerance is going to come back. And I just feel like it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back. But we'll just have to wait and see and find out exactly what happens once this tube is removed. And to be quite frank, I'm glad, like I said at the beginning of this video, I am happy that it's to be removed, because I have had this tube on the same side of my face now for over 5 months, and obviously having tape on your face for 5 months causes a lot of problems. Like my skin underneath is so irritated, and obviously the tube itself is affecting my throat, it's affecting my voice, it's affecting how much mucus production I'm getting, and it causes a lot of bunginess up in your nose, and you know, it has its problems. Like NJ tubes have their problems. They have a tendency to block and kink, and they can basically block because of positional problems, which I've had in the past. They can block because of sediment in the tube, or because you're not flushing them well enough. I do enough flushes. I do up to 10 90ml flushes every day. So at the moment my average is 8 flushes of 90ml, but if I don't have feed, due to the fact that I kind of have a day off here and there just to stop my tube from blocking, them days I actually increase my flushes to at least 10 a day. So you know, it'll be good not to have the routine of, you know, being able to flush my tube like every couple of hours, and to be able not to get tangled up in giving sets and stuff like that while I'm asleep, and wake up with like the end of my tube here, like as you can see, like the end of the tube here kind of pressed and indented into my skin. So that would be nice. And obviously getting my skin to breathe and be better would be nice as well, and not having it irritate my throat as much. All of these things are positives to having my tube removed, but there is a lot of negatives about having it removed because, like I said, I have a severe form of gastroparesis. My delay time is 167 minutes plus, and I feel constantly nauseous and constantly in pain when I eat or drink anything. Even just taking my standard medication causes so much pain and makes me feel sick. So, and that's just with sips of water or maybe just a mouthful of pureed 4-month-old baby food. So we'll just have to see how I go. But like I said, I will keep you guys posted. And I hope you guys are well and you're staying safe. But I will be back on again soon because I've got something very important to share, and it includes a lot of important information and values that I believe in, and I also need to talk to you guys about how I got on with my genetics testing. So there will be a few more videos coming up, so if you would like to know more about them or know about them when I pop them up on the channel, then please press the subscribe button, and if you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and you can also give me a follow or DM me on my Instagram, which as always I will link below. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening, and I hope you wish me luck for the removal of my tube tomorrow, because I'm really not looking forward to having to remove that myself. But yeah, have a nice Tuesday evening, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye.